Welcome to my channel Official History of Coins Friends. Today we're diving into a truly interesting piece of history from the United States. A coin that once jangled in pockets and now sits quietly in collections, waiting to be rediscovered. First up, let's set the stage. In 1951, the US Mint struck a special series of half-dollar coins under the name Franklin Half-Dollar. The coin's obverse shows the profile of a founding father, while the reverse features the cracked Liberty Bell, a symbol loaded with meaning. The design was created by John R. Sinek, who adapted some of his work from sketches by John Frederick Lewis. Space next paragraph. In 1951, the Mint was busy. 3 different facilities struck Franklin half-dollars. The Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, produced roughly 16.8 million coins. The Denver Mint, marked D, made about 9.48 million, and the San Francisco Mint, marked S, added around 13.7 million. All told, just under 40 million Franklin halves emerged that year. Space next paragraph. Most 1951 coins you might see are simply business strike halves meant for circulation. But there was also a proof batch. About 57,500 proof coins were specially struck in 1951 for collectors. Space next paragraph. These coins are not just history, they carry intrinsic value too. Each 1951 Franklin half-dollar is composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing about 12.5 grams, or roughly 0.3617 troy ounces of pure silver. Space next paragraph. Because of that silver content, even a heavily worn 1951 half-dollar has a melt value above its original 50-cent face value. But beyond metal content, it's the collector demand, condition, and mint mark that shape how much someone might pay today. Space next paragraph. So yes, 1951 Franklin half-dollars really are valuable. Let's talk about what valuable can mean depending on condition and variety. Space next paragraph. For a coin in average circulated condition, the value might be modest, often between about $9 and $20. Space next paragraph. But if your coin is in uncirculated, mint state, the story changes. A 1951 business strike half in MS60 to MS65 condition often sells for $20 to perhaps $75, considerably more than base melt or face value. Space next paragraph. And if you get lucky, if the coin has pristine surfaces, sharp details, and especially nice, full bell lines, FBL, on the reverse Liberty Bell, then the coin crosses into serious collector territory. For example, some 1951D coins in very high grades have fetched hundreds or even thousands at auction. Space next paragraph. Proofs are another level entirely. Because only 57,500 proofs were made in 1951, and many are now worn or imperfect, a well-preserved proof coin can command a much higher premium. Space next paragraph. In fact, proof specimens of the 1951 Franklin half-dollar have sold for high prices in recent auctions. Some deep cameo or high-grade proof coins have drawn strong collector interest, reaching values far beyond typical business strike coins. Space next paragraph. Why such interest? Partly because the 1951 issue represents a high mintage year, but also because it captures a moment in US coinage history. Silver coinage, a classic design, and the end of an era before later changes in metal content and designs. Collectors value that combination of heritage, aesthetics, and metal. Space next paragraph. Also, many Franklin half-dollars are common, but common doesn't always mean cheap. A coin's condition, how well it was struck, did the Liberty Bell lines come out fully, and whether it's a proof or business strike all influence its collectible value. Space next paragraph. So don't be fooled by the high mintage number. Even common coins from 1951 can range widely in value based on their physical state. Space next paragraph. If you own a 1951 Franklin half-dollar, it's worth checking carefully. Examine the coin under good light, maybe use a magnifier, look for clear details and strong bell lines. That could make the difference between a 1520 coin and something much more valuable. Space next paragraph. some collectors have built serious collections around Franklin halves. The 1951 coin is a solid anchor. With the right condition, it can hold or even increase its worth over time, especially if silver prices rise or demand among collectors increases. Space next paragraph. In short, yes, the 1951 Franklin half-dollar is really valuable. It's not just a rusty relic, it's a piece of US history with silver content and collector appeal. Space next paragraph. Maximum sale value depends heavily on your coin's exact condition and type. A perfect or near-perfect proof or mint-state coin could fetch several hundred or even more under ideal circumstances. High-end auction results for top-condition Franklins sometimes show coins selling for thousands. Space next paragraph. So if you've got a 1951 Franklin half-dollar sitting somewhere, polish up your eyes, check the mint mark, or lack of, examine the bell lines, and consider having it graded professionally. It might surprise you what that little coin is worth. Space next paragraph. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have a coin you'd like us to explore next. The 1952 Franklin half-dollar, minted in a post-World War II America when silver coins still jangled in pockets and change jars. And today that same coin can hold real value for collectors and silver lovers. In 1952, the U.S. Mint struck Franklin half-dollars at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked D; and San Francisco, marked S. The Philadelphia Mint struck around 21.2 million coins that year, while the Denver Mint struck roughly 25.4 million, and the San Francisco Mint struck about 5.5 million. Each 1952 Franklin half-dollar is made of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighs 12.5 grams, and delivers about 0.3617 troy ounces of pure silver. Because of the silver content alone, even a well-worn 1952 half-dollar has intrinsic metal value well above its original 50-cent face value. But beyond that, what really drives value now is the coin's condition, mint mark, and for some, special characteristics like sharp strike and well-defined details. So yes, the 1952 Franklin half-dollar can be valuable. Depending on its state and rarity, it can fetch figures far above melt or face value. If your coin is just an average circulated specimen, many sources estimate its current worth somewhere between roughly $10 and $30. If the coin is uncirculated and in mint state condition, the value climbs. For example, a 1952 coin with no mint mark in a good uncirculated MS state condition might sell for on the order of $30 to $80 depending on specifics. The 1952 San Francisco variety tends to be more desirable because it had a lower mintage compared to Denver or Philadelphia, which adds a degree of scarcity and demand among collectors. If a 1952 coin is in mint condition, its value could go significantly higher. Some listings show values perhaps around $75 to $146 or more for higher grade examples. But the real moonshot potential comes if your coin has exceptional strike quality, especially a sharply defined reverse, the Liberty Bell, with what collectors call full bell lines, FBL. Coins with this level of detail in high grade are often the most sought after. For those rare, top-condition FBL examples of 1952, especially from 1952S or 1952D, the upper end of auction results and collector interest suggests the value could reach several hundreds, even into the low thousands. If you own a 1952 Franklin half-dollar, it's worth a careful inspection. Check the mint mark on the reverse, look at the sharpness of the design, especially the Liberty Bell details, and if possible, have it graded professionally. A well-graded, well-struck coin could surprise you. Looking forward, yes, there is a realistic chance the value of a 1952 Franklin half-dollar could increase over time. Silver remains precious, interest in classic coinage continues worldwide, and high-grade, eye-appealing coins tend to appreciate, especially when rarity, like low mintage 1952 S, aligns with top condition. For now, even a normal 1952 $half is already worth more than its face value. But for the collector with patience and an eye for quality, it could be much more, perhaps several times what a common silver coin would fetch today. Next coin, 1954 Franklin $half, a coin minted in the United States that many collectors look for, and yes, it can be valuable. The 1954 version of the Franklin $half was struck by the U.S. Mint at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, mint mark D; and San Francisco, mint mark S. It carries the familiar design. On the obverse, a portrait of Benjamin Franklin, designed by John R. Sinek, and on the reverse, the iconic cracked Liberty Bell, a powerful symbol of American independence and heritage. The coin was minted in 1954 because during that era, the United States still produced $half coins in silver, 90% silver, 10% copper, a tradition that ended later with different coinage compositions. The 1954 issue is part of a series that ran from 1948 to 1963. In terms of production numbers, the Philadelphia Mint struck just over 13 million 1954 halves, the Denver Mint the largest portion, over 25 million, and the San Francisco Mint produced nearly 5 million. In total, around 43.9 million 1954 $half, regular strikes plus proofs, were minted. Because it was silver, even a worn 1954 Franklin $half has a base melt value, the value of its silver content. But that is just the baseline. What makes certain 1954 halves much more valuable is condition, strike quality, and whether the coin has what collectors call full bell lines, FBL on the Liberty Bell on the reverse. These fully struck, sharp detail coins tend to draw serious interest. Right now, in average circulated condition, many 1954 Franklin halves sell for roughly $10 to $16 range, depending on mint mark and wear. If your coin is uncirculated, mint state, then the value climbs. Modest uncirculated coins might go for $40 to $150 depending on condition and mint mark. For coins with excellent condition, especially those with FBL or other desirable traits, sharp strike, beautiful surfaces, the value can be substantially higher. High-end examples from 1954 have fetched anywhere from several hundreds up to even 4-figure sums, especially at auctions or among serious collectors. Collectors' interest in 1954 coins remains fairly strong for several reasons. First, because they're part of a silver coin era that's long gone. Second, because 1954 was the final year for the San Francisco Mint striking Franklin halves, which adds a bit of historical weight to S coins. And third, because many people building date-and mint-mark collections seek to complete all variants of the series, so 1954, with all 3 mint marks, is a must-have. Given all that, yes, the 1954 Franklin $half is really valuable, particularly if yours is in excellent shape. Its value today is already significantly above face value, and with the right grade and condition, it could be a prized piece in a collection. As for how high it could go, theoretically into the low thousands of dollars, depending on circumstances like full bell lines, grading certification, mint mark, and market demand. On the lower end, typical coins remain affordable, but the premium for rare, pristine examples is real and substantial. Second coin, the 1956 Franklin $half, stands as one of the important silver coins of mid-century America, carrying both historic weight and strong collector demand. The coin belongs to the Franklin series minted from 1948 to 1963, a period when the United States still used 90% silver for $half pieces. The design features Benjamin Franklin on the front and the Liberty Bell on the back, created by John R. Sinek to honor Franklin's legacy and contributions to American history. The 1956 issue was struck mainly at the Philadelphia Mint, and this year is well known for producing some exceptionally sharp and attractive pieces. That makes the 1956 date particularly appealing to collectors who hunt for beautiful examples with strong details. Because of its silver content, the coin has built-in intrinsic value, but what makes the 1956 half-dollar truly desirable is the combination of high eye appeal, clean surfaces, and well-defined bell lines on the reverse. Full bell lines coins can command significantly higher prices. In today's market, there are many collectors, investors, and silver buyers who actively seek out the 1956 Franklin half-dollar, especially in mint state condition. Online marketplaces, auction platforms, and numismatic forums frequently show demand for this date. The current value ranges depending heavily on condition. A lightly circulated coin often sells above its base silver value. A clean, uncirculated example can reach much higher, and a perfectly preserved coin with strong detail can climb dramatically in price. At this moment, ordinary circulated 1956 examples sell in the lower ranges, but uncirculated coins rise into far higher levels, and the highest-grade certified pieces with standout qualities can enter the upper hundreds. Under exceptional circumstances, premium examples can reach into four-figure territory. So yes, the 1956 Franklin half-dollar is valuable, and in some cases very valuable, with potential for excellent returns when the right coin meets the right collector. The maximum value depends on grading. A certified, high-end, visually sharp 1956 could sell for remarkable amounts. The highest recorded specimens have soared to impressive prices, proving this coin's potential. If you're wondering where to buy or sell the 1956 Franklin half-dollar, there are several strong options. Online auction platforms give you wide visibility. Numismatic shops offer expert insight. Specialized coin shows allow face-to-face negotiation. And collector groups often pay strong prices for top-quality pieces. If your goal is maximum profit, the best approach is sealing the coin, placing it in a high-quality holder, and then, if possible, having it professionally graded. Sealed, graded coins consistently command far higher prices because buyers trust the evaluation. Keeping the coin in pristine condition is essential. Even tiny marks can affect the final value. Store it safely, avoid touching the surfaces, and protect it from humidity or contamination. Should you keep it? If your coin has sharp details, glossy surfaces, and excellent preservation, then yes, keeping it or grading it can increase its value significantly over time. Silver coins from the mid-20th century continue to rise steadily in collector interest. Future value is also promising. As the number of well-preserved 1956 Franklin halves decreases, the price of high-grade survivors tends to rise. This trend has already been proven in many recent sales. For investors who enjoy long-term gains, this coin can be an excellent piece to hold. For collectors, it is a key date that strengthens any Franklin set. The history behind the coin fuels that demand. Franklin represents American innovation, curiosity, and achievement. The Liberty Bell symbolizes freedom, sacrifice, and the American story. Together, they create emotional and historical appeal that collectors love. Whenever a coin combines silver value, historical significance, and strong collector interest, the price tends to climb, and the 1956 Franklin half-dollar has all of these characteristics. If you decide to sell, choose the right time and the right venue. Auctions during high silver markets can push prices upward. Collector forums can bring in specialized buyers willing to pay a premium. If you decide to keep it, protect it, preserve it, and allow its value to grow naturally as demand strengthens. The 1956 Franklin half-dollar is not just a piece of history. It is a highly collectible, investment-worthy coin with real potential for strong financial return.